Hello!
Hi, everybody.
Have we some hot fixes for you?
Oh my god, yeah. They are coming through today for episode 5.
Wait,
issue
is it
5?
five
Issue
or is
4?
it- 4.
Yeah, issue 4. Yeah, we are coming through with those hot fixes. Because, wow boy, the lore corners that we painted ourselves into in earlier episodes of this had to be fixed yet again.
Yet again. It's like tripping over the mines we set. But yes, we are alive and kicking, and well, here's the summary of issue number 4, I guess.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do some stuff with that.
Yeah. Where do we start with the summary? What does the Holy Scripture say?
What, the Holy Scripture of the hot fixes or the Holy Scripture of Rosie's recaps?
If it's Rosie's recaps, I've got you covered.
Okay. Alright.
Last time, Taranee was kidnapped and imprisoned, and everybody had to, like, escape because they were overwhelmed and stuff. And it's basically starting from there where they go back to Heatherfield, and they're trying to make sure that Taranee's disappearance isn't noticed by people.
Yeah.
So somehow they create her astral drop, which for those of you who are not familiar, the astral drops are basically like clones of them who they can make into their body doubles just in case they're out and about doing magical stuff and they need to go to school, talk to family, that kind of thing. So they somehow managed to make Taranee's astral drop, and there's apparently nothing wrong with Taranee's astral drop, but there is with Will's astral drop because Will was insecure about her power up. I'm not really sure, but basically it has a mind of its own and is super impulsive and kind of clueless. So subplot is astral drop Will kisses Matt, then slaps him because she realized she wasn't supposed to do that. And aside from astral drop stuff, they go into Mrs. Rudolph's house because they're trying to figure out a way back to Meridian, and somehow at that point Halen gets the ability to read memories from sounds because there was this music box, I believe, which basically says that Mrs. Rudolph escaped to Earth with someone and a baby. And surprise, surprise, the baby is alien, but nobody knows. So aside from that, because they have the map, right? The map that we deleted. They found out that there's a portal in this cove place.
Shell Cove, I think it was.
Yeah, Shell Cove. Yeah, Shell Cove. And conveniently, they managed to get into Meridian there through, like, shrinking shenanigans where they somehow end up in a Meridian Boy's fishbowl. And after some shenanigans where they creep out said Meridian Boy, and the Meridian Boy's like, Mom, there's some girls in my fishbowl. And then they escape during that part, and the mom comes in and is like, you lie. And then they somehow have cloaks that they just somehow had in their backpacks, which are Meridian cloaks. So it's like, where did those come from? And they snuck around the marketplace. Irma exchanges a cereal box watch thing for kind of like a Marauder's map orb thing, which shows the map of Meridian on it and little dots for where the people are. And then they try to find the castle, or like the prison, basically where Taranee is. But then the merchant dude is not happy with the cereal watch and chases them into a dead end. But then in the dead end, suddenly Mrs. Rudolph shows up in the ground and tells them to go in the ground. So they give the merchant a slip, and then the merchant's like, I'm calling Meridian 911. And Cedric, because he's there, shows up, and then they're like trying to blow a hole into the floor to get to them. But in the meantime, Mrs. Rudolph gives them a tour of the city basement, basically. And it's super vague because she's like, oh, we had to flee because darkness and sadness had overtaken the city and everybody's heart. And then aside from that, we find out that time is different in Meridian. Barely a day for them on Earth is 2 weeks for Taranee, so they're like, oh no! And so Taranee's been in prison for 2 weeks. So basically, they come up with the idea to give themselves up to Cedric and let themselves be captured and taken to where Taranee is, because smartness. And then they're introduced to Phobos' garden and the council of pre-hotfix murmurers, and they were brought to Taranee because that's the smart thing you do. Anyway, That's for the girl's side. But then for Taranee's side, she was basically being gaslit by Elliot and Cedric into thinking that they're not gonna save her because they believe her to be a weak link or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get her on their side. They show her convenient portal videos of the astral drops just, sleeping, and then Taranee thinks that it's really them and not their astral drops, and then she's like, what is real anymore? And basically for the whole 2 weeks. And the prison is a bubble prison, which apparently
feeds on their insecurities and stuff.
Yeah, feeds on their insecurities and makes them weakened so they can't get out. She's been trying to get out, but because she was insecure she couldn't, so okay. And then fast forward to when they all get reunited in bubble prisons, and Taranee manages to free herself because of pep talks, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty much the thing. Yeah, they all just kind of freed themselves because Taranee was like, I'm feeling good about myself again. It was it was very weird.
Suddenly she ungaslit herself. But anyway, because she's okay, she broke free, and then she drags everybody out of their bubbles because apparently it's a one-way bubble, I don't know. And I don't know why the other girls weren't able to get out on their own, because, some of them aren't insecure, so I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have much trouble with the bubbles. But anyway, so they transform, they free themselves, and then Cedric and Elian are just like, oh no, we can't stop them now, and then they just kind of like slink away slowly into the shadows.
Which is weird, because it's their castle. They have full control of guards and stuff. It's so bizarre.
And they overwhelmed them before.
Yeah.
It's not like they had time to train, but anyway.
So pieced out. It was so weird.
Yeah. And Cedric was always making this weirdo face. But anyway, so they escape back home, and Taranee absorbs the memories of her astral drop. Well, basically everyone absorbs the memories of their astral drops. And I guess all is well with the world so far because they got Taranee back. So that's the summary of issue 4. Bunch of problems. So
as previously mentioned, lots of holes to paper over here. Lots of big leaking tanks that we need to put scotch tape over with like a hot fix.
Mm-hmm.
So
bubble gum.
Yeah.
I guess we start with the first problem. Well, it's not really a problem, more like, I guess, the logistics of everything.
Yeah.
The logistics of the plan.
Okay.
Because we deleted the map, right?
Yes.
So, okay. We kind of have to shoehorn in the part where they figure out how Mrs. Rudolph got there. Because it wasn't really mentioned how she got there. Like, was she with them? Well, she wasn't with them, but she was somehow there when they needed her. And they had, Dora's backpack with the handy-dandy cloaks from Meridian and the map.
So I think our fix for that was just that Mrs. Rudolph went with them to go to Shell Cave.
But she feels kind of conscientious about Taranee getting kidnapped while the girls were under her care.
So she's like, she feels responsible for it.
Yeah, she feels responsible. So she's like, okay, I will help you in any way I can to get her back home. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess the part with Halen's ability to read memories from sounds from Mrs. Rudolph's
music box.
Yeah, since Mrs. Rudolph is with them on the plan, they go to her house again after school.
Yeah. At this point, we've established that they have a weird relationship where they can just go to Mrs. Rudolph's house whenever the hell they want. Weird, but whatever.
Yeah, they're not breaking in this time.
Yeah, at least they're not breaking in this time. At least it's like, it's okay, you can come here whenever, I guess. It's like their base of operations now.
At least for the Return to Taranee
arc.
Plan. So, there's that. And maybe they went to school after they got back from Meridian that time, and then before they go to Mrs. Rudolph's house again.
Yeah.
So when they go to school, they're like listening in for like possible portal clues, like
portal gossip.
Yeah, portal gossip. So they're hearing rumors about Shell Cove.
Oh, it's Cove. I have mine written Shell Cove. Mine says cave. I'm not super sure.
Okay. Well, same banana.
Yeah. Shell Place.
Okay. Shell Place. And there's like people who are like, oh, we've been there before. We kind of heard some weird sounds. And then they're like, could be the next portal. Because they sealed the portal in Mrs. Rudolph's house. And we don't want it to be so easy to like reopen it.
Yeah.
Because then that would kind of defeat the purpose of the whole sealing the
Portals
12
thing,
portals. Yeah. So it's like, wouldn't it be better to use like an actually open portal already?
Yeah. Also, I mean, just a suggestion, because I didn't think about this last week. Would it be possible if when they were making those innocuous noises and stuff in the cave that, like, the locals were hearing, maybe it would be, like, a bunch of campers that were going there, like, on a spring break sort of situation, like that one episode of Cardcaptor Sakura, which we will eventually get to. That one where they think it's haunted, but it's just a clout card.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would make sense also, to situationally put the random people in there.
Yeah. Also, I think it's just, like, I feel like kids are a little bit more susceptible to things that don't really seem very much, like, real. I don't know. I think kids are, like, they see ghosts easier. Take that with a grain of salt, I guess, if you want. But, like, if they saw, like, some shimmery bullshit in a cave, they wouldn't immediately be like, oh, that's just the lighting on this wet cave. They'd be like, magic.
Yeah, it's like they have a more open mind for that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What adults would normally dismiss as the mundane. They could be like, oh, I could do this thing.
Exactly.
Yes, camper gossip.
Camper gossip, yeah.
Oh, yeah, about the whole convenient cloak thing. I guess we're making Mrs. Rudolph their logistics person who, you know, has some spare cloaks, I guess. One size fits all, unisex, I don't know.
Yeah, just some giant-ass cloaks.
Yeah, because, I mean, it doesn't really make sense for them to have Meridian cloaks on hand unless they swiped it the last time, but fat chance of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mrs. Rudolph gives them their disguises, and we're keeping the whole fun fishbowl thing.
Yeah.
That would be better planned, right? Rather than randomly assuming that you're gonna show up in a tailor's house.
I think we said that Mrs. Rudolph has the cloaks, yeah.
They'll be smarter and more prepared. And we're keeping the whole exchange for cereal box watch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing changed there because the Marauders map is cool. Change my mind.
Yeah, honestly, listen, Ms. Rowling, we don't respect TERFs on this program, but I will say that the Marauders map is cool. Come for me, I guess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they get chased by the merchant guy, and instead of calling Cedric 911, it's just General 911, I guess.
Yeah, just normal cops.
Yeah, normal goons that would be in Meridian, not Cedric. And the whole world building thing, I'm sure Mrs. Rudolph would, instead of saying something weird and vague like darkness and sadness, she'd actually tell them a bit more of the history of Meridian and why there's like this whole cavernous basement old city thing under the actual city.
Yeah.
Yes.
We said that would basically kind of just be like a response to like a natural disaster, because there's precedent for that in the real world and there's precedent for that in other fiction, which I always think is very fun and interesting, is that, you know, sometimes stuff happens and then after all of the stuff clears away, there's an extra layer of house on top of your normal house because you built one during a flood. So that's basically what the basement city is going to be, is just like the lower floors of an entire city that got flooded over at some point.
Yeah, the whole, it could be a magical flood because of the world tree expanding and, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah, just some, like, generic magical nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Before we get into the plan proper, where we make them smarter about it, I guess we talk about Taranee in prison.
Yeah, Taranee's prison arc makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense that Cedric and Elian would be down in the dungeons gaslighting a child. Basically, that's super weird. So, we figure they'd lock her in there, but it would be goons that do all of the talking. Otherwise, it's just weird.
Yeah, could be like the Frost Hunter guy who caught her. He could be like one of the questioners, and then he could have gotten intel from the previous goons that they fought, goon number 1, 2, 3 or something.
Yeah, there's like goons that are actual henchmen, but then there's also the people that are in that prison that were imprisoned that are probably like, they don't mean to gaslight her, but they're like, you're never gonna get out of here. I've been here for like 80,000 years. I believe you if you say that your friends are good friends and that they're coming, but like, there is no chance you're getting out of here right now.
Yeah, it's less about her and more about the fact that this is the #1 Azkaban prison. I don't know.
This is like a bad prison for like people that really need high security, and it's really hard to get out of here.
Yeah. So it's like there's that aspect, and then there's the internal aspect where we kind of flesh out why she's the quote-unquote weak link. So we kind of came up with a thing where, since she did lose control of her powers during the Halloween party at the start of the series, we were thinking like maybe that's like the start of when she starts feeling insecure about herself, and then kind of resulted in her using her powers less than the others because she's not so confident about it.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing that the special 12 goons of Phobos would notice.
Yeah, they'd just be making fun of her for being a bad fighter. They'd be like, haha, you have no control over your powers. You're like a liability to your team. All of that stuff.
Yeah, and it would make more sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Also, because we want to get rid of the whole convenient portal videos showing the astral drops on Earth, because what?
Yeah, very strange. Also, quick thing, like, we didn't say this, but I think it should be mentioned, that, like, all of the stuff going on in Bubble Jail that, like, Elliot and Cedric are in the original that we don't have them in right now, it's mainly because Elliot hasn't really been swayed to his side yet. Like, there's just a whole bunch of resentment brewing, but she hasn't, like, fully flipped alliances or anything yet.
Oh, yeah. At the end of our last issue's hotfix thing, she was just kind of, feeling betrayed because of the whole secret magic thing where she was kind of left out in all of this. And she was having problems too, but she was all alone. And I guess that's when she starts maybe trusting Cedric's word more, since what he was saying is actually true.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like, actually how teenage girls think. It's not immediately like, oh, you tell me this thing, I'm going to trust you implicitly, on no evidence at all, so...
Yeah, and this is, like, I don't know, half or a little more than half of a day on Earth, so it wouldn't really make sense for Ellie and Cedric to suddenly bro handshake BFF, and then they Nume to Meridian and become a tag team of,
gaslighting individuals. Yeah, that's weird.
So we need more time there. Elliot's kind of sitting this one out along with Cedric.
Yeah.
They're just brewing in the background for now.
Yeah, that little thing is happening by itself. Otherwise, it's like, what are they doing here? That makes no sense. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's the continuation of Cedric and company, but minus Cedric.
Yeah, just company.
Right, the bubble prison. We're deleting the whole insecurity bubble thing, and we're just keeping the weakening part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would make sense for it to be like a general weakening bubble so that it would be applicable to not just
insecure people, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what if there's a self-assured criminal? They can't bubble that guy if it's just an insecurity bubble. So.
Then maybe he's just like a criminal mastermind who never gets caught.
Yeah, and the one time he gets caught, I guess. But yeah, the whole insecurity bubble thing feels inconsistent. So it would make more sense for like top security prison to have a kind of foolproof bubble.
Yeah, it would just be like a general weakening thing, but because everyone is saying that it's because she feels weak, then she believes it and doesn't really do anything about it.
Yeah, so she wouldn't really have the will to try and break out.
Yeah.
So there's that bubble prison. I guess that's Taranee in prison?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we go to the plan proper.
Yes.
Where the girls are underground, still kind of on the run, but getting like a mini history lesson. And they're kind of like devising their plan on how to get Taranee out of the prison. So instead of giving themselves away to Phobos or like goons, that seems kind of dumb, because what if they get separated when they're in the prison? Because that would be the smart thing to do, like separate them, not like put in the same room.
Yeah, that's super weird. I don't know why they thought that would work, and then I don't know why it worked also. Like, what? Huh?
It's like dumb plus dumb.
Why? What we said was that, like, Mrs. Rudolph would just lead them under the prison and then like, cause a distraction so that the merchant's 911 call wouldn't be traced back to them or something.
Yeah, like Mrs. Rudolph would be the decoy, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the girls, since they still have their marauder map thing, with the help of that and Mrs. Rudolph's knowledge, since I think she's like super old, I mean, in a nice way. She was probably around when the whole old city was still a thing. So she could point them in the right direction with the help of the Marauders map so they could identify the structure of the prison, which I think is near the castle palace.
Yeah.
I think
that's what we decided, yeah.
Yeah. And then they would see also the locations of the dots, which are the people, and then figure out the patterns of the guards and stuff. And then they would like magic detect with the heart of Kandrakar or something, or like where Taranee could be. And then they figure out the guard patterns in a sneaky way and then find Taranee's cell.
Yeah. And then they sneak in there.
Yes, sneaky. And all the while, like, Mrs. Rudolph is buying them time.
Yeah, she's, like, doing some bullshit. I don't know what we decided on for that. Like, I don't really know what you would do in an underground city to, like, cause alarm, honestly. Just pretend she's, like, trying to get into somebody's house, I guess. I don't know.
I think she has some degree of magic, so maybe she does something...
Bombs.
Something bombs. Strategically placed bombs so that the city doesn't cave in.
Yeah. Maybe she just sets the bottom of a house on fire or something.
Oh yeah. Fire seems less explosive and impactful.
Yeah.
So at least the guard people, I mean police people, would be preoccupied for a while.
Yeah, plus it might better tie into the whole theme of, like, you know, fire not being inherently a bad fighting thing that we did with the goons and stuff.
Oh,
maybe.
Oh yeah, some time ago.
Yeah, in YA fantasy like this, they always talk about how, like, fire is a destructive force, blah blah, but, like, even when it's being destructive, it can still be helpful, and I think that that's an interesting way to tie that back into the theme.
Oh yeah, and also, like, that's probably also part of Taranee's path of growth.
Yeah.
Because he's, like, thinking she's only good for destruction and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So they get in smartly during, I guess, the lull in the security of the prison, and then they try to get Taranee out, but then at this point, this is like 2 weeks later, Taranee. So she's kind of really down on herself and doesn't really want to be rescued at this point.
Yeah, what I have it under in the notes is she's just leave me here to die. I don't deserve to be helping them. And, like, she does, like, legitimately feel really terrible and worthless.
Yeah, like, find someone else to basically be the fire bearer.
Yeah, because clearly I am not up to the task sort of situation.
Yeah, and, like, at this point, they're trying to talk her out of it because, you know, they're all in the same boat, but ultimately they wouldn't have enough time to do so because you can't have a heart-to-heart in the prison.
Yeah, you can't be like, this is a bit escape. Yeah, this needs to be expedient. Like, they wouldn't be able to do a big friendship speech while they're trying to break her out of prison, and they're trying to be fast about it.
Yeah.
Especially because they barely know each other. This would take time.
Yeah, and it's like they could start talking about it maybe just a bit, but then they realize how deep this thing is going, especially since she was there for 2 weeks. So they table it and then kind of just bust her out even if she doesn't want to come with them.
They just kind of drag her home and are like, no, you're coming with us. We have to go now.
Yeah, and they make their escape.
Yeah, let's just say that they go back through Shell Cove. That's less complicated. And then they seal it up when they're home.
Yeah. So, portal number 4, Shell Cove portal, isn't really protected by a goon, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it could be like, because I don't think you should be able to fully control the openings of the veil, even if it's already been weakened by, you know, the Halloween timing. So, maybe it could be one of those more random portals.
Yeah.
Random, like, it's naturally weak there ordinarily, but still not that easy to control. So, maybe that's where they get out.
Yeah. honestly, I'm okay with that. Like, most of these portals needed to be sealed up anyway, and I don't think they sealed it up when they were gonna go save their friend. I feel like it would be dumb of them to seal up a portal that they know is there when they could use it as a getaway.
Yeah, and since, like, we're making sealing a bit more powerful, because, you know, they're the guardians of the veil, then that would make the most sense for them to at least kill two birds with one stone.
Exactly.
So while everyone's preoccupied with the sudden mysterious fire in the old city, and then they're like panicking, I guess, because, I mean, you would panic if the structural stuff underneath the actual city is burning.
yeah, you'd panic if like the basement city was on fire.
Yeah, so they managed to use the Marauders map to find their way back to where they went in. So, yes. And Mrs. Rudolph kind of pieces out from the
plot
underground.
Yeah.
She'll find ways, right? Could she be like waiting for them somewhere?
I don't know. I think in the original comic of this specific issue, she's like, she could just kind of show up wherever. So I feel like that's not entirely impossible, that like she went and burned that area and then like kind of pieced out back into the fishbowl where Shell Cave is, I guess.
Oh, yeah. She could, like, it could be part of the thing where maybe they're also kind of worried for Mrs. Rudolph because, you know, she basically offered to make herself decoy. Yeah. And they're like, okay, you could be the decoy, but you'd have to be smart about it and run home if anything happens, that kind of thing. Yeah. And, like, run home when, you know, you're done.
Obviously,
it wouldn't be smart to
don't stay here.
Yeah. So she could, like, peace out before them.
Yeah, so in terms of like the epilogue stuff, there's a whole bit where the
astral drops.
Yeah, there's the astral drop stuff that we actually haven't touched on yet, but we'll get there. In just a minute. Yeah.
I think we're more or less done with the whole save Taranee part.
Yeah.
So I think we can move on to the astral drop stuff. So our idea with it is that, okay, there's gonna be this whole thing later on, spoiler alert, where the astral drops kind of seem a lot more like they have their own selves, like their own sense of self and that kind of thing, minds of their own.
It's that whole like clones gaining self-awareness, like becoming their own people sort of situation.
Yeah, so to kind of get into that, and also for it to make sense a bit more here, because they made Taranee's astral drop and somehow there aren't any problems with it. So we have this thing where to kind of fix it is that we make Taranee's astral drop be created based on what they know of Taranee, which is basically Taranee at school or Taranee around friends. And then they wouldn't really know exactly how she acts at home, that kind of thing, or like when she's not around them. So Taranee's astral drop acts normal in school and, you know, around not family. But then when she's at home, that's when she's kind of acting a little sus.
Yeah. I don't know how close Peter and Taranee are in the comic anymore. Like, I figure they're pretty close because maybe this is just me being biased, but, like, I'm very close with my siblings. So, like, I would assume that Peter and Taranee would be able to tell if there was, like, a whole situation where somebody is pretending to be one of them. So, Peter, we're gonna say that Peter catches on to that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think that's also legit, too. Like, I think they actually, as siblings do, they would tease each other sometimes, you know, joke around a bit. And we have like this headcanon, I guess, that Peter is, joking around with Taranee, and then, I mean, Taranee's astral drop. So like astral drop Taranee is like, I don't know how to act in this situation, so she feels just, awkward.
And then, the whole situation is very weird, and Peter's like, are you okay? And immediately is like, this doesn't feel like my sister.
Like, normally you'd have some kind of comeback, but then... And then Peter's just like, what's going on? And then so Taranee's family's kind of feeling like, did something happen at school, honey? And then she's like, no, I'm fine.
I'm okay. I'm just super weird right now.
So there's that whole, like, side astral drop thing where Taranee's acting a little weird. But then once Taranee comes home and absorbs the memories of her astral drop, she's back to normal. So her family's like, I guess it was just something at school, or, something happened in with friends. So that's Taranee's part. And, the one about Will's astral drop, we were kind of like,
according to canon, Will's is flawed due to insecurity, which makes no sense. If this whole issue is meant to be be addressing insecurity and feeling better about yourself. It would feel weird if her thing was actually just flawed and bad due to her being insecure. So, thematically and off, also, but also just a weird message in general. So,
yeah, does having someone have their own sense of self mean that they're, flawed? That kind of thing.
That's fucked up. But also, just the concept of oh, you're insecure, you couldn't possibly be able to make this clone of yourself function properly. This comic was aimed at teen girls. This is a weird thing to do. Teen girls are so insecure. Don't make them feel worse about having insecurities. Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah. We have the Taranee thing, but once they get home, we're gonna have them, have a heart-to-heart type of talk thing.
Yeah.
Where they, share their own insecurities. Taranee's not alone in this whole thing, this whole endeavor. And basically, she's been feeling that way. And, I guess Will could share, she's feeling the burden of having the heart of Kandrakar and the burden of being, I guess, the de facto leader of the group and that kind of stuff. And they're all new to this thing. So maybe that's where they, start being a bit closer because they're, sharing those kinds of insecurities and being more open with each other.
It's a lot of
team
trust
building.
Falls. Yeah, it's a lot of trust falls and stuff.
Yeah.
Real company retreat sort of situation, but Well, in addition to the friend stuff, it's also I don't know if this is a thing that a lot of other schools did, but every graduation from middle school to high school or high school to out of our old high school, we'd go on these trips, big class trips, kind of do a retreat thing where we would talk about our feelings and do weird trust fall sort of stuff, team building exercises, but also empathy exercises to kind of suss out why people are the way they are, talk about our feelings. Yeah. That's kind of, I think, what we would be doing with this bit is they would go home and take several weeks to just hammer down that group dynamic because they're all very new to all of this. So share insecurities, talk about their feelings, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it would be the sprinkles there because they still have to, go after them portals, but it would be a slow burn type thing.
Yeah, it would be a slow burn sort of listen, none of us are good at this yet. You don't have to feel bad about yourself. Don't feel yourself as the weak link. You're just as valid and important to this team as I am. We all have our part to play in this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And we got you.
Exactly, we got you.
And so that's the Taranee thing. So going back to Will's astral drop, we decided to maybe think that there's actually nothing wrong with Will's astral drop. Maybe she just thinks that there's something wrong with her.
Yeah, but because it has a personality.
Her astral drop's personality. Yeah. Super impulsive, a bit clueless about, how things would work ordinarily, because that would make sense, because if you're an astral drop, you don't really jump into life knowing what to do exactly.
Yeah, you're just kind of a clone of somebody who's 14 years old. The people barely have any idea of what good social graces are, let alone their clones. That's crazy to think that the clones would have any idea of that. So she's just really impulsive and clueless and not good at self-control. So she's out here making out with people and slapping them and stuff like that. It's great. I like that that's part of her character. She just makes out with him and is oh shit, I did a bad thing, and then just smacks him. So funny.
Yeah. We are keeping the thing where they're, made with their own image in mind, but of course we can't eliminate the thing where they're still realizing that they have their own self type of thing.
Yeah.
I guess for Taranee's, it's a different case because Taranee's not the one who made it, but for the others, for Cornelius, Helen's, Irma's, it could be they know how they're supposed to act as sort of third person point of view of it. They don't know any better, so they just go along with it for now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of giving the readers a sense of, maybe something's wrong with Will's astral drop because she's the only one acting like this, but then boom, reveal how many volumes later.
Actually, it's just a personality. I think, to better reflect this, we should make this a kind of slow burn background arc because they use these astral drops a lot. So, it would make sense if the astral drops would, very slowly come to the realization that they are clones and that they have their own personalities and stuff. So they can become their own people.
Their own wants and stuff.
Yeah.
If, for example, someone wants to go somewhere or has has to go somewhere with someone, they're like, I don't actually want to do this.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So it's kind of like little sprinkles of defiance.
Yeah, little sprinkles of like assertiveness of their own personalities and stuff.
Yeah, slow burn because they won't be sus at the start.
Yeah, this won't matter for like so many issues. So like just little sprinkles here and there of like hints.
Yes. Yeah. So that's like the seeds of the astral drop arc, which is, I believe, I don't know, 2 or 3 arcs after this one.
Yeah, but it makes more sense than it just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Listen, Witch is great, but it has its flaws, and a lot of its flaws are like all of these things that are going on apparently are just never established firsthand. They're never established first, so it's just like, oh, all of a sudden there's a thing. Oh, all of a sudden, like, Nerissa is back and we have to explain who that is. It's a whole thing. Like,
that's for the next arc.
Yeah, we'll talk about that some other time, but like, my point is like, all of a sudden stuff goes on and it's like, no, actually sometimes things happen as a slow, like, knock-on effect sort of situation where things happen over time and you don't notice it.
Yeah, it's like a good trick that I notice happens a lot in anime or manga. Like, you think it's like this, but then there's like this whole retrospect arc where you realize from this point of view it's actually not this. So
exactly.
It's like revelations, but it was actually just that thing, but in a different point of view thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to do that.
We're playing also, with perspective here.
Yeah, playing with perspective and making things smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's issue 4, I believe. That's where it basically wraps up.
Yeah, there's like a whole bit where the Oracle's just like, yeah, I love friendship so fucking much.
Yeah.
But like, it's more just the Oracle having a pontificative moment on friendship. So like, it's not really a big part of it, but it's just like, I like that he's just there watching TV and is like, yeah, goddamn, these girls, this friendship, I'm here for it. I love that he's just quietly spectating on all this and not helping at all.
And the beard dude, I forgot his name.
Tibor.
Beard dude is like, yeah, basically he's the guy who's like, what are you watching and why is it so interesting? And then the Oracle like, giving him the background of the whole season.
Yeah, he's just fangirling. It's great.
Yeah, and then it's like, let me introduce this new series to you.
Listen, Tibor, you don't understand the epic highs and lows of high school friendship. It's great.
Yeah, this is canon.
This is their Riverdale. They're just watching like stuff unfold.
Yeah, and well, for now that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Later on there'll be more.
Yeah,
you wait.
That's just the epilogue of this, is they're just like hanging out. But like, that's the end of this issue.
Oh, great! I forgot. Like, there were some tiny things. Like, apparently Irma agreed to go on a date with Martin.
Yeah, but we said we'd be keeping that because like a lot of the smaller things are okay. Stuff like
that could be like one of the other things that show that the Astral don't have the same will as their creators. Because like real Irma isn't really into Martin, but then like Astral Drop Irma agreed to a date with Martin.
So maybe like her Astral Drop has like a completely different like romantic compass and is like I'll date Martin. I'll date this weird dude. Sure.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah. Honestly, like I like Martin. I think he's a good character. Like if he were written well, he'd be great. He seems like a nice boy, you know?
Yeah, he's a nice guy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him as a character.
Yeah, he seems fine.
It's like cute that Astral Drop Irma's like, oh, he seems nice. Instead of how Irma wanted to get with that blonde dude and transformed
Irma in like issue 2, and then she turns him into a frog because she doesn't understand that sex is a thing.
Andrew Hornby.
Yeah, Andrew Hornby. Horny, maybe. Sorry.
No. But yeah, so there's that tiny little thing that I just wanted to talk about because I think it's cute. But so issue 4 actually wraps up pretty well. It's more like issue 5 kind of opens new stuff. So issue 4 kind of closed what happened at the end of issue 3. So we'll get into that next time.
Yeah, look out for the next episode where we discuss blue skidoos into paintings.
Oh no.
I can't believe
no, it's gonna be the problem.
Oh my god, we're gonna have like a whole hour where we just talk about that next week. Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's hot fixes.
Yeah, we will see you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe, make good decisions, all that stuff. We'll see you then.
Yeah, bye.